We were just going to open it up for questions, see if anybody had any questions. I told them, hey,
Okay.
Darcy, just to see if they would be, they had any deep, longing questions or anything they're struggling
Sure.
with, and just want to pick your
Sure.
brain,
Sure.
So
Sure. Yeah. And would it be okay, Jeremiah Prabhu, if I were to give everybody a little bit of, how I study the Gita or how I read
please,
it or study it or whatever, and
yeah,
then we can certainly open it up for questions because I think it'll be very, very helpful.
absolutely, yeah,
So,
please.
okay.
We're all ears. So thank you
Okay.
again for
So
coming.
let me know. The pleasure and honor is all mine. Let me know when you would like me to begin.
No, go ahead, please.
Okay. So I'll quickly offer Mangalacharan prayers and we'll just start with a very, very, very short Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, we'll leave it at this. So, my dear friends, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Pandit Srivas, and I have been a Bhakti Yogi practitioner for um, just over 3 decades. So I think June of 1996 is when I first got in touch with some beautiful, beautiful, wonderful um, practitioners of Bhakti Yoga at that time. And it took me a lot of time to even understand what it is that you know I was going to get into and what does it entail from a do's and don'ts standpoint or from a practice standpoint, and then the practicalities of it, right? How does it fit into my own material ambitions, my own goals, and so on. Okay, so it's been quite a journey for me. And one of the books that got me interested into Bhakti Yoga was Bhagavad Gita. So before we even get into the understanding of that Bhagavad Gita, would you mind if I were to very quickly, like, let's just bottom line it, maybe a minute each, if at all, of what does Bhagavad Gita mean to you? When you think about it, when you read it, or when you've heard about it, how does it appear to you? And just to get you started, I've asked this question many times. I've been teaching Bhagavad Gita now for more than 25 years, and I get a wide spectrum of answers. Some people find it like, hey, you know what, this is so intimidating. I mean, number two, I mean, another, a very common thing. Number two is like, hey, it's very complicated because there's so many characters that keep getting reference and this. There's so many nuances to it, some processes to it, some terminologies to it. It's very, very complicated for us to really understand. Um, Number three, some people say that, well, the topics are variegated, they're very deep, very essential, but it requires some hand holding. Four, many people have said that, no, look, whenever I'm thinking about something, whether I feel happy, angry, whatever it is, what all the different kind of emotions that I can get into, I have a reference in from the Bhagavad Gita, and that really helps me, and so on and so forth. So some people are intrigued, some people are interested, some people feel intimidated, and so on. So I would love to hear your points of view. So Jeremiah, why don't I start with you because that'll be easier for the others also to follow. What does Bhagavad Gita mean to you?
Well, for me, the thing that it's hard to sum up even in one word or one sentence what it means to me. I mean, I guess the easy go to would be life changing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because I was raised as a Christian. And so
Mm-hmm.
the Bible has wonderful stories and wonderful, um, if you take it at its core, wonderful things on how you should be like how you should be and how you should interact with this world and things and how you should love others. And there's a lot of good stories in there, but for some reason it just never. I don't know. I struggled with it connecting deeply with me,
Gotcha.
even though I was raised that way. But when I started to dive into the Bhagavad Gita, um, and may be a little melodramatic, but it just connected with me because this world is chaotic, like a battlefield. It's just
Mm,
there's a
mm,
lot going on, and it's like, how do
mm.
you navigate through these treacherous seas of what's going on? And they're literally in the middle of a battlefield trying to figure this out and
Right, right.
having this deep discussion. And to me, it's like we can hit pause on everything going out around us, and we can
Mm,
focus on internally and see what we can see within us, and
thank you.
connect to the super soul within us. So that's,
Okay,
like I said, life changing is probably the easiest word to try to sum it
sure.
up, but there's just so many.
Yeah.
you know
I hear you're saying that there's some metaphoric relevance
yes, correct.
that you have extracted from the Bhagavad Gita.
Correct.
Okay, okay, this is good. Um, whoever wants to go next, Drew. Since I know you, go ahead. You can. Yeah.
Oh, there he goes.
Is it
No.
is it
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
unmuted?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
unmuted. I can hear you.
You're unmuted. We can hear you. And now you become muted again. I think.
It's
Yeah.
There you go.
it keeps telling me I'm in safe driving mode, and I'm not real sure why.
Okay. Okay.
Well, we can hear
Because
you.
I'm not okay. I'm not driving. But no, to me the Gita is just kind of what made sense of life, I guess. Like Jeremiah, I grew up in a Christian household where it was Southern Baptist, so very,
Mm-hmm.
very evangelical, kind of a lot of crazy stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
But the first time I read the Gita, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a lot of stuff that I've already known to be true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was also very telling to me with how old the Gita is. Having that Christian background, the teachings over here that the Gita are talking about, like, okay, well, I see where Christianity pulled that from now. A lot of there's a lot of similarities, even though there's some major philosophical differences. There's a lot of similarities kind of in how we should live our lives and treat each other.
Very nice. Very nice.
So
Very nice.
to me, the Gita is kind of what wrapped everything up. And like, okay, well, this is the truth, and this is what I've always known to be true, and then here we are finally, discovering that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that it gave you some validations of belief and belief systems which already existed, and it probably gave some additional insights into some topics which were not possibly as deeply explored in many other theologies. By the way, I don't know whether you guys know this or not. I was raised Catholic. So between all of us, I think we can certainly fight a few wars. So, all right. Okay, this is good. Yeah, Frank, how about you?
I had just heard of the Gita months ago.
Okay.
Been in a place going through issues with mental health. Been reading a lot of self-help books, and I was introduced in a book called Dharma Punks. And I've seen it over and over with different musicians that I've followed, that it's been revolutionary in their life. So
Incredible.
like everyone else in this group, I think I was raised in a very Christian household, and been an atheist since I was 14. I'm almost 40 now, so I'm stepping out of atheism. I feel I've had some interesting experiences these last few years, so I'm a curious mind, and somehow got connected with Jeremiah again, and here I am. Thank
you so much for sharing that. So you are part path of inquisition and also investigation. And possibly the Bhagavad Gita might give you some of those insights that you're looking for. Okay, okay, we'll go there. Darcy, anything you would like to share with us, please, about how you went about or what it means to you?
Well, I've been through my yoga teacher training and we were introduced to it, but it was very minimal. It was very precursory and it didn't really resonate.
Okay.
And then, amazingly enough, got hooked up in this group with Jeremiah through Teresa, and the deep dive has been epic. It's been wonderful, and it's resonated in a way that nothing else has. So I've been really enjoying it and taking a deep dive.
That's brilliant. Very nice. So you're on a almost like on a path of revalidation of sorts, or rediscovery. So there is for I mean, you've gone on an exploratory road, and maybe some of it appealed to you, but most of it didn't. And you're trying to rediscover it or look at it from a different lenses, certainly through a different teacher of sorts, or method of teaching or method of learning of sorts. And yes, this is also very exciting. Okay. And then finally, Teresa, I'm skipping over Kishore Kishori because Kishore Kishori is a student of mine. So, okay. So Teresa, please, would you like to share?
Hello, I'm
Yes.
Teresa. My camera's not working, so sorry.
That's okay.
I, like Darcy, am a yoga instructor here in Lexington, where Jeremiah is. And same, the Bhagavad Gita was introduced in our 200 level, just as like a suggestion. But, you know, as 200 level yogis in the West, we're taught more about safety and physicality. And my teacher and Darcy's teacher are the same. We both graduated from the same school, and then did my 300 level teacher training twice. And we were exposed to it a little bit more. This was about 10 years ago. Never really thought much of it. I was busy learning more. Our main teacher was a kinesthesiologist and deep dived more, studied like under Tom Myers and really like the physical aspect of yoga. Although she was very spiritual, and I know she had millions of copies of the Gita everywhere. And so introduced to it through all of that. 2 years ago, I had a very bad car accident where I was left with a lot of physical broken bones and mental anguish. And in that, the gentleman that caused the accident passed away in front of my eyes. And so all of a sudden I was faced with like death in like just such a real form. And of course the ramifications of like the mental health from the car accident. And I started diving into this dharma versus karma, and on my own, like trying to figure out journey of, you know, was the accident my karma? Was it my dharma? Was it hit, you know, going back and forth? And part of my healing journey last year was I started to study a program called the Masters of Wisdom, which is done by David G. out in Carlsbad. And so I studied under him for 300 hours and completed his Masters of Wisdom program. And the Bhagavad Gita was a required book for us.
Okay.
And so I read it, but it was so far beyond at that point.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so complicated in the concept.
Right. It's very complicated.
But the part that really, really kept striking a chord and still does was dharma versus karma, and the two, you know, side by side.
Right.
And then Jeremiah had mentioned, I think we were at a kirtan, and he had mentioned he was going to start this study group. And it was going to be on the Bhagavad Gita. And I was like, let me know day and time. I will love to sit and go through it with Jeremiah.
This is beautiful.
So,
beautiful.
Right. And so, yeah. And so I joined this group, and it's just been wonderful. And it's been great for my own personal life, but I think it also makes me actually, I don't think, I know it makes me a much more well-rounded yoga instructor. I'm being able now to move out of the asana portion of yoga and
Very
really start to
nice.
hold space
Very
with, the more
Okay.
far-fetched, ethereal concepts
Okay.
in class and share it with other people. So,
Okay. Thank
and
you.
like
Thank you
everybody
so.
else, I grew up Christian. I was an Episcopalian. So,
Okay. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, I think we've
you're
gotten
welcome.
at
Thank
least.
you for being here with us.
Oh, you're very welcome. We've certainly covered maybe not the Baskin Robbins group of flavors, but quite a few of them when it comes to Christianity between this group. So, if you were to ask the same question to different people, like scholars who've studied Bhagavad Gita for a long time, they'll give you obviously variegated answers. And one answer would be, hey, you know what? Bhagavad Gita contains all the different topics which are relevant to human existence. For example, it talks about karma, it talks about who God is, it talks about who people are, which are jivas, what living entities are. It talks about time, okay, and um, and it talks about the universe, the material nature. So these are 5 broad topics, and then it goes deep into each of these topics and so on. So that's one way, one lens through which people look at it. Another lens through which people look at it is, you know what? It talks about different levels to connect with the Lord. One level to connect with the Lord is through one's occupation, and that is called karma yoga. Another level to connect with the Lord is through meditation, which is called dhyana yoga. And another way and also, which is like a sub branch of jnana yoga, which is knowledge, connecting to the Lord through knowledge. And the third way to connect to the Lord is through bhakti yoga, through devotional service. So karma is through work. How do you work for the Lord? How do you meditate on the Lord? And how do you serve the Lord? So there are 3 ways to connect, and it compares and contrasts these 3 different ways, and it provides a recommended path, but at the same time, the other paths are also open. So that's another way to look at the Bhagavad Gita. A third way to look at Bhagavad Gita is it's like a life manual. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're confused, sometimes we're in a dilemma, sometimes we're angry, sometimes we feel weaknesses of the heart, sometimes we feel like we want to, really be mean to somebody, sometimes we feel depressed. And so, in many, many, many different situations, the Bhagavad Gita gives us proper guidance as to what to do in each of those various different situations. Another group will tell you that, look, all of this is good, but it's really a book of philosophy. Very deep philosophy, not just philosophy at a superficial level, how to be a good person, but what is the purpose of your existence? And how do you realize that purpose? It is as deep as that. So it's existential from a living entity standpoint. And so there are other ways as well through which other perspective as well about the Bhagavad Gita. I have found that while all of these perspectives are very rich, they are exactly how one should study the Bhagavad Gita if you don't want to remember any of it. Because it's really complicated to wrap your head around, like, oh, really, where's the manual? Oh, I'm angry. Let me go to page number 82 and it will tell you what to deal with your anger. I'm sorry, buddy. It doesn't work for me. It's very difficult. Once I have understood the Bhagavad Gita for in a simple way, then I can go into the complicated variations of it and I can then extract more juices out of it. So I will tell you, in my humble opinion, how best to understand the Bhagavad Gita. For me, the Bhagavad Gita is nothing but a conversation. It's a conversation between 2 friends. That's it. That's all it is. And one of whom happens to be God. And the conversation, and these are 2 people who are not just friends, they're also related. The 2 friends in question are Krishna and Arjuna. Now, Krishna's sister is also married to Arjuna. So they're basically brothers-in-law at the same time. Okay, so there is some deep amount of trust between them. And Arjuna is facing an incredible challenge. You see, when Arjuna never had the fortune of growing up with his father. He was born, and his father pretty much just died right on that very day that he was born. Okay, so he was raised by a foster grandfather called Bhishma, and he was very attached to this person. And Bhishma and Arjuna's teacher, whose name is Drona. So Bhishma and Drona literally raised all the kids, and right from that teeny tiny toddler years up to where they are today. And all of a sudden, Arjuna today finds himself on the battlefield facing these very people who had raised him. And on the other side of the battlefield, as his opponents, there are other people also that he grew up with, that he knows very well. Some of them are just like his father figures. Some of them are just like, Drona and some other teachers. Some of them are, many of them are his cousins. Some of them were his friends at some point of time. And he's really, really confused. He's like, how the heck did it come to this? And why did it have to come to this? And so he forgets that, they had tried everything possible to avoid this war. But right now, in this middle of the battlefield, when he looks at this group, he is overcome by many different feelings. Because you see, when we feel something, we don't just feel one thing. We feel many things. We feel confusion, we feel anger, we feel annoyance, we feel irritation, and so on and so forth. So many different things all at the same time. And Arjuna also feels like that. He feels compassion towards these people, but at the same time, he feels frustrated and he feels confusion. And so he turns to his friend Krishna and he says, what the heck? How can I fight this battle? Look at all these people around me, and thank you so much for bringing me right into this middle of this battlefield. Because now when I look around this, I see only death and destruction. Even if I were to win this war, I'll have to kill all of these people. And you're not talking about 5, 10, 100 people. You're talking about millions of people at this point of time. And what that'll do is just killing so many people itself is a sinful thing. And then on top of that, they are somebody's father, somebody's brother, somebody's husband, somebody's son. So there will be a huge vacuum in society with all of these male members gone. And you know what happens when one side wins and another side loses in any battle, right? So women are taken as prizes. And so then, they are exploited. And all of a sudden, the society has a lot of unwanted children because nobody is going to stay around, right? And then that causes other issues. So now it's not only that this generation is being impacted with so many people dead, the next generation will be impacted. These kids will grow up fatherless. It'll be an unruly society. So not only am I going to commit one sin to kill people, I'm going to commit multiple sins at different layers, right? And by the way, even if somehow I win this war, what will I do? How will I even enjoy it? I mean, how can I build a kingdom on top of, the death, the dead bodies of all my relatives, all my friends? How can I cannot even comprehend how I'm going to enjoy this. And so I really just don't want to fight. And so his friend Arjuna listens to this and he says that, dude, what is wrong with you? You're talking like an impotent person. And he uses this word impotent. I mean, we are talking about warriors over here. And for them to be called impotent is a very big insult. It's like a slap on the face. And so Krishna slaps him metaphorically on the face. And it's like, what is wrong with you? You're talking like an impotent person. You're supposed to be this warrior, this big-hearted warrior, the warrior who comes into the battlefield and shows no mercy. And over here, you're talking about, what will happen with this? What will happen with that? Are you kidding me? Like, come on, be a man. And Arjuna now becomes personal because it's his he's hurt inside with these words that came out of Krishna's mouth. They sting his ears, and he's like, no, 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 Krishna, you don't understand. Look, around you. Look at the people who are opposite. My grandfather Bhishma is there. My teacher Drona is there. These are people who have looked up to how can I kill them. So now the example which he gives is not just of a broad society. He gives an example of a personal relationship. This is how can I kill them? And how can you expect me to enjoy the spoils of war after I've killed them? I mean, how can I be that heartless? And I'm so confused. I know I can't do anything but to still fight this battle, but maybe it's better for me to just go and, live like a hermit somewhere, go into the forest or go somewhere else, just beg for a living. Oh, but at the same time, I know I can't do that. I'm a Kshatriya. Oh my gosh, what should I do? What should I not do? I am so confused. And then something very weird happens. He no longer treats Krishna as a friend. He says, you know what? I have lost all ability to discern what is right and what is wrong. So you are now my spiritual master. You are my teacher. You are my guru. You please guide me what I should do. And as soon as that thing happens, the real tenet of Bhagavad Gita starts. Because, my dear friends, we cannot have a deep spiritual discussion without one person accepting another person as a valid teacher. So I'm summarizing this chapter number 2. So Krishna starts off and saying, look, first of all, my dear friend, you are saying, what will happen if I kill all these people? What will happen if all of those other people are dead? And so, do you know one thing? You cannot really kill anyone. You know why? Because everybody is a spirit soul. They're just these spiritual beings, these souls which cannot be created. These souls have no beginning and no end. They have always existed. And they cannot be killed either by any weapons, by fire, by water. You can't do anything about it. And you know what happens? These souls occupy these bodies, and the bodies keep changing. So the soul was in a baby's body, in an embryo's body, in a baby's body, in a toddler's body, and then it goes through a period of youth, middle age, old age, and then death happens. And what do? These souls do? They simply change another body, and then they're another body, and another body. And this thing goes on and on and on for perpetuity. It has been going on since time immemorial. So these people that you're thinking you're going to kill them, yeah, you can't. Nobody can kill anyone. And besides, my dear friends, suppose what I'm saying, you don't accept that. Suppose you think that, no, they will be killed. My dear friend, they will die anyways. Today, tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years, 50 years, 100 years, whatever it is. Eventually, they will die. So better that they die for a cause over here on this battlefield, because this is not an ordinary battlefield. In this battlefield, if anybody loses their life, they go to the heavenly planets. Did you know this? Yeah. So then at least you'll do them a favor. You've given them a purpose to die, and they will be well situated, and you will also be better situated. And so there's another thing over here, Arjun. You're thinking about what will happen if you win, if you lose, if you win, if you lose. Oh, come on, stop with that. You see, if you win, you will enjoy the kingdom for which you're fighting. If you lose, that means you're dead. So then you will go to the heavenly kingdom, just like the other people that you would have killed, they go to the heavenly planets. So either way, you've got nothing to lose, right? Either you'll enjoy the earthly kingdom, or you'll go and live in the heavenly planets. Okay? So that's also fine. And then he says that, but also, you're talking about this is going to be a sinful reaction. Sin on the surface, like right now in the battlefield, sin for the next generation, because you'll leave a society, without the proper guardians, without the proper processes, and so on and so forth. I understand that. But what you don't understand is that you're talking about basic reaction, like action and reaction theology, which is for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. On the surface, it is true, but there is a way to do an act, perform an action without necessarily getting the reaction for it. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. And Arjun is saying, really? Is that possible? You mean like I can actually do something good and not have a reaction to it, that not have the good fruits of labor come my way? I can actually do something seemingly bad and like killing people on this battlefield and not have a bad reaction come my way? Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. How is that possible? And so when you go forward onto chapter 3, 4, and 5, you will read a little bit more about that. But I'll set the stage for it. So Krishna says it's possible in a couple of different ways. One way is whenever you do any action, whatever it is, right, good or bad, you don't get attached to the results. You do it simply as a matter of duty. But hold on. It can't just be anything. It has to be something which is prescribed by the scriptures. But something which is prescribed by the scriptures and you do it without any consideration of the results, of whether you'll meet success or failure, any attachment that if you get success, then you're going to be elated or joyful. If you get failure, then you'll be like really sad and depressed or angry or frustrated. Without these emotional attachments to the results of that action, then that action doesn't carry with it any action. And Arjuna is like scratching his head. Okay, theoretically I understand this, and I'm trying to comprehend this, and it seems impossible to wrap your head around. How can I keep doing something without expecting an outcome, a favorable outcome towards me? It's very, very difficult. No, this is possible. It's very, very much possible, but it is difficult. Okay? And then Krishna, what's the other way? Come on. So Krishna says there is another way. The other way is, my dear friend, you simply do whatever you do, you dedicate it to me. Why you? Because you see, my friend, the dedication is not just to a person, just to any person. The dedication is you are doing it on behalf of someone who himself is not governed by the laws of material nature. The laws of material nature will give you an action for a reaction for every action. But somebody who themselves are not governed by the laws of material nature will not give you that. And he gives an example. You see, my dear friend, let's say you go on a battle and you go over there and you kill some enemy soldiers and you come back, and the government who's sent you on a battle, okay, they don't punish you. In fact, they might even reward you. So you actually killed some human beings on the command, on the order of somebody who has the authority to define what is a good thing and what is a bad thing. Once you come back from the battle in your own home country, if you get into an altercation, you don't even have to kill anybody. If you get into an altercation or something like that, then you will get into trouble. Cops will be called, you might be incarcerated, and so on, right? Why? Why were you? And then you can come and argue that, hey, I just killed 5 enemy soldiers on the battlefield. I got a medal, and over here, I just, shouted at someone or shoved somebody, and I'm in prison. What the heck? Like, yeah, that's how it works. Why? Because one of the actions is at the order, at the command of a higher authority, and one action is not. So Krishna says, such it is with life. If you were to dedicate your actions to God, then you will not have to go through the reactions of good or bad. So we will pause here. Just, you see, in like 15, 20 sentences, probably a little bit longer than that. We just summarized a couple of chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because we're looking at it through the lenses of a conversation that is happening between two people. And so as you navigate through the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, I will be happy to, do readouts with you. Each readout takes like maybe 5 or 6 minutes. and we can just summarize the chapter, like what is this, how is this conversation meandering its way through it? What are these two people really talking about? And simplify it. And once you have this simplified fabric properly weaved, there's no way you will forget the Bhagavad Gita. It'll be part of your DNA. Okay? So I will pause here and invite questions and comments from any of you about anything that we have heard or said today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody have any questions?
Or comments?
Yeah. I'll throw one up to you just to
Absolutely.
So it kind of ties in with what you were talking about as far as how many of us understand these teachings intellectually, right? But applying them in daily life is a little bit harder. So how do you go from simply knowing the philosophy to actually using it, and what would be those type of suggestions that you would offer to people?
Yeah, it's a very, very practical question, right? Because that's like your bottom line.
Yeah.
Bottom line is not knowing the book but applying it, right? And the application itself is very, very simple, actually. Give me 1 second. I'm just sending a message not to disturb. The application itself is actually not that complicated. Like anything else, we see that we require frequent guidances. And at that point of time, you're not looking for philosophical guidance. So let's take an example, because the situations that we'll deal with are not necessarily philosophical. They're things like, hey, man, I lost my job. Hey, man, I'm having a relationship challenge. I'm having a health-related challenge. I'm having whatever it is, right? Good or bad. And mostly it's bad, right? And good news, try to keep it within ourselves. Bad news, look for answers. And some of it is existential things, which is mildly philosophical. But let's talk about the non-philosophical things, which are, I'm going through a challenge in my life. So your friend who is a little bit better learned should also have the sentiment, the heart to, and the like-mindedness to empathize with your situation. So I will tell you an example. 4th of July last year, 2025, we did this amazing Rath Yatra in Indiana, right? And one of our congregation members, so he couldn't really come with his family, but in the evening I got news that his little daughter went into somebody's swimming pool and drowned. 5-year-old kid, right? And so I was called in a couple of days to be in that memorial service. And you can't stand over there and talk about like how we are the soul and not the body, and nobody ever dies. Like that's just not the right place to talk about those things. Over there, you talk about love, you talk about emotions, you talk about attachments, you talk about emptiness, and so on. You talk about comfort, right? And so such it goes with the proper teachers. They would know how to navigate through the complexities of life. And so since we're talking about practicalities over here, Jeremiah, this is very important. Bhagavad Gita is not just a book of philosophy which you throw at people and say, hey, you know why you're going through this really bad phase? Because it's your karma. Are you like freaking kidding me or what? Like, I mean, right? Who talks like that? Right? So, yeah, you don't do that. So once you have, relationship, I should start bottom lining. Relationship is everything to begin with. And next layer comes a little bit deeper philosophy. So once somebody is able to then ask for philosophical guidance, like Arjuna did, he was not in that entire first chapter. He was like, I don't want to really listen. I just want to offload right now. I want to vent right now. I can't fly. And then later on in the second chapter, it's like, okay, now I'm willing to listen, right? So you have to wait for that. And then when somebody's willing to listen, based on where they are, their acumen, and so on, we can guide them that, look, whatever it is, whether you think it is karma or not, the good thing is everything is temporary, right? Everything is temporary. You put your finger to it, the good is temporary, the bad is temporary. Our relationships are temporary, our situation is temporary, our name, fame, and fortune are temporary. Heck, even our body is temporary, right? So these too shall pass. So now let's get through, like, how do we go through this difficult situation and at the same time start building the spiritual muscles to look at an eternal situation, which is not temporary, right? Because then the real fun starts. Then the real inquisitiveness starts. I am distressed right now. I am in a bad state right now. I didn't pray for it. I don't wake up in the morning and say, my dear Lord, please send some misery my way, right? And yet it comes. So then logically, intelligently, happiness should also come my way without me making an effort for it. That's a philosophical point right there. Okay? So what caused that misery? What caused that happiness? Karma. Oh, that means every time I do something, I get a reaction every time. How do I get out of that? I don't want that. I don't want happiness, distress, happiness. I only want happiness. I only want a roller coaster that keeps going up and up. Okay. Oh, so okay, this is the way. Can you do it in this world, in this material nature? No, you can't do it in this world. Why? Because the material nature works in this world. What's the material nature? So how can you do it? Oh, for that you have to get out of this material. How do I get out? What are the means? What are the mechanisms? See, now you're getting into that. So this is how we take philosophy and put it into practice. Okay? Does that make sense? Did that answer your question? But
yeah,
any degree of satisfaction?
No, it's beautiful.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeremiah.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, my friends, anything else?
Darcy, Teresa, Drew?
Drew, I guess. Oh,
I'm
wow, this is the first time.
There you are.
Yes.
There we
Good to
go.
see you.
Yes, you see?
Well, I'm not used to Zoom. I'm usually on Teams, and I can use Teams pretty well, but Zoom is kind of foreign to me. So, one thing I wanted to ask, and I think you started practicing Bhakti Yoga. You said 30 years ago, and coming from a Catholic background. I guess what was there a moment or what really led you towards that Bhakti path and kind of what was there anything that really made it click that was kind of the direction to go in?
Multiple things. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know. I haven't studied a lot of the other sub theologies within Christianity. So I don't know whether anybody else makes you feel as guilty as Catholics make you feel. So we are perpetually going to hell. And so for me, it made no sense. For me, even the Genesis didn't make sense. So when I read that, I was like, oh, you know what? Even if I were to believe that entire story of Adam and Eve, somebody's messed up. Okay? Somebody messed up in a spiritual environment where they're already associating with the Lord. If they're already associating with the Lord, then there has to be some level of purity with them. And they are loved by God. And so why would they even mess up to begin with? But even let's say they messed up. So they messed up, so the rest of humanity is put over here for perpetuity? Really? And what did they went into, like, whatever, like some they wanted to be God. That's the way I understood it. Okay, that's egregious. But then why am I paying the, and also, what kind of God would it be, but who is always trying to like maintain some kind of a roster. Oh, this guy is messing up, that guy is messing up, this guy is messing up. Oh, hell, 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 hell. Maybe heaven, maybe heaven, maybe no, 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 no. Again, hell, hell, hell. So what the heck? So these things where God, I realize I cannot love someone or fall in love with somebody out of fear. It doesn't work for me, at least. Okay. And I realize that in my practical life also, I cannot force somebody to love me. So on one part of the theology, I saw that there is beautiful, prayers and phrases which is building our muscles to love Lord. But at the same time, there's equal number of ones which are like condemning us on some way or some. So those were the things. Then the next thing. So once I came into the Bhagavad Gita, the depth of the philosophy really appealed to me, and the understanding of what reincarnation is also appeals to me. That if I can't get it right in this life, for whatever reason, maybe I have weakness of heart, maybe I'm not that pure, maybe I have challenges, maybe I have cognitive challenges, maybe I'm just a bad person or whatever. I'm a lusty person. I'm an angry person. Whatever it is, what all of those so-called things, and I couldn't fully reform myself. Okay, I have my faults. I'm just a human being, right? Can I get another chance? Can I get another chance? Wouldn't God, who loves me eternally, want to give me a little bit more chance? What about these people who die when they're in age 5, age 10, 8, whatever it is? Where will they go? Will they go then perpetually to hell or to heaven or whatever? None of those made sense to me. And then I started seeing, I went deeper into the philosophy of it. And I saw that in a family, there would be like two kids. You might see them amongst your kids, right? So two of them siblings, they're growing up in the same environment, same parents, similar treatment, right? Completely different. Their proclivities are different. Their thinking is different. The mannerisms are different. Where is that coming from? How did they get to that point, right? And it just started raising more and more deeper questions, the answers for which I could not find in Christian theology. Because the laws of karma, the thesis of karma is very weak in that theology. The thesis of reincarnation is very weak, is non-existent in Abrahamic religions, right? And yet that's the only thing that made sense. And then the other things, then I went deeper. Hey, I see I have different relationships with different people. I have a friend. I have children. I have my parents. I have people with whom I just have a transactional relationship, like my bank teller or my, the guy who or girl who rings me out at the supermarket or whatever it is. And then I have deep other kind of loving relationships, right, with my spouse, with my partner, and so on. And then I have, those. So these relationships I'm reading, common to all theologies, all relationships, anything which we see in the world actually exists in the spiritual world. This is common amongst all theologies. That means God also must be having these relationships. God also must be having like a parental relationship, like a relationship that you have with a child, relationship which you have with a friend, relationship which you have with a lover. Who is he having this relationship with? Right? He must be having this relationship with other entities. That means I can have that relationship with God. And yet none of the theologies are talking about it. They don't talk about in many of them, oh yes, you can be just the servant of God. Yes, I get it. But what about these other relationships? Can I not be a lover of God? Can I not be a friend of God where I can wrestle with him and I can defeat him? Can I not be like that? Does it always have to be that of a servant? So then I went into a deeper inquisitiveness. I want these answers. I want a path where I'm not happy and then sad, happy, sad, happy, sad. I want a path where I'm happy all the time. Why can't I be like that? Right? So this, Drew, I know I said a lot, but honestly, I was bottom lining it. So this just some of the reasons where then Bhakti appealed to me. Because I could finally come up with the right questions, which then gave me the right answers. Honestly, my, so many years of Christianity, I couldn't even come up with the right questions. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments from anybody about anything?
I think for me, that's one of the other things that drew me to Bhakti is that you're allowed to question.
Yeah.
You're allowed to ask questions. And
Yeah.
I went to a Baptist school growing up, and I would get my hands. I was actually a Pentecostal at a Baptist school, so we had very different beliefs, even though we were both Christian. And I wouldn't agree with them theologically on things, and he thought I was part of the devil half the time just because, because I would bring up things that we don't agree on. But because I wasn't allowed to question, I wasn't allowed to. But that's one of the things that I love about this path is that you're allowed to question and say, "Oh, that doesn't make sense to me." Maybe I should dive in and figure it out. So I really appreciate that.
Even when you study the Bhagavad Gita, you will see Arjuna question Krishna so many times. It's like in one of the chapters, he'll question. Krishna will say, you know what, this is nothing new. I told the same thing to somebody else millions of years ago. And Arjuna, like, what are you talking about? You're my cousin, literally, removed and all that, but you and I are of similar age. What do you say? Why are you saying that you spoke about? How am I supposed to believe that? Understand that? Okay. Then other things, Krishna says, tells Arjuna, this is how you have to meditate. This is how you have to control this mind. And Arjuna says, I am not doing that. It's impossible for me to focus my mind on that. It's easier to just control the wind. Okay. So like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So any other questions or comments? So yeah, we should question each other and the philosophy, and we should look for answers. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Any other parting questions, comments, anyone about anything? Okay. I hope this helped. Yeah. In literally 7 to 10 minutes, when I was talking, I summarized 2 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. So anytime you want Bhagavad Gita like this to be summarized and read, I have found it to be very, very helpful. You will never forget it. Mm-hmm. You will always, it will be a storyline and you'll navigate through it and it will be etched in your heart. Okay. Yeah. So I would be happy to guide you through that. Okay?
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you again so much.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Darcy. Okay. All right. Teresa, thank you also. Frank, you as well. Okay. I hope to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see you in person sometime.
I would love that. All right.
So. Take care.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for all signing on. Appreciate you all. Hope you have a good night.